Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
Everyone's fantastic. How you doing, Sandra?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah. How's the summer going for you?
It's it's been a challenge in some ways, but a good challenge and one that I'm up to. So,
well, you know it's my favorite month.
Oh yes. Well, it's your birthday month, everybody.
Yay!
Happy birthday!
My birthday was July 9th, celebrated with a wonderful breakfast with Sandra and
That's
Kevin.
right.
It was
Lobster
wonderful.
omelets for the win.
It was fantastic. Waterfront Hotel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to the Waterfront Hotel for that delicious breakfast. Yes.
Yeah.
So in studio with us today, Chris Penczak. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
So excited to have you. So excited to have you here. We are really looking forward to discussions today. I know we can go in so many different directions with you that it's just like, oh my God, I don't know how we're going to keep
Sounds a little dirty.
Well, gosh.
You make me blush.
Oh,
I just blush.
It's too early in the morning for us to blush.
Don't tell anyone that we actually still know how. But yeah. So this is going to be
great. It's so great to have you on here, Christopher, and to talk and see what you're doing.
Thank you.
So I think leading us off, maybe we should get straight into the tarot card for the month, right?
Yes, for all of us Cancers out here. Look, it is your chariot, and you have been awaiting it. This is a card dedicated to the element of water in the sign Cancer. Our motto being, I feel. You know what I find very different about this card? When I look at this card, the first thing I wanted to say was fire. Because the chariot looks like it's being pushed and motivated forward. And I always attributed that to the fiery signs. So when I was starting to learn how to read, I never really connected to this beautiful card. As you can see, it has two horses leading and pushing the way.
I mean, on that card, I think technically they're unicorns, but yeah.
Yes, yes. And when I look at it, I always thought fire. And I guess I never looked at myself as somebody that liked to push and move forward. And that is a gift of a Cancer. We have a hard shell, but a very, very soft interior. So Cancers representing this card, it's number 7 in the trumps. It helps you in the positive sense when during a reading. If you receive this card, this is going to tell you you're going to get through some serious obstacles in your life, and it is a very goal-oriented card. This image is supposed to bring forth, the courage in people. When it's inverted, it means, maybe you should be trying harder, or maybe you're looking at a relationship that you should be backing out of. When I use this card in different types of readings, let's say if a work project and it's related, this is the moment in your life when you get this card that you know you're about to start some great project, or it is something unexpected coming up. So I think this is saying you're going to make more money. You're going to go ahead. With the love, it's new love. It is pushing through all obstacles. If it's old love, it's telling you you're going to survive whatever complications your relationships bring. So there's two ways to look at this, but it is supposed to inspire people in levels of motivation, moving forward. It's saying take your experience and learn from them. Okay, and this is also great in combinations. When the high priest appears with the chariot, it means victory.
Does that apply to us Leos too?
It
I know you
applies.
just said Cancers.
That would apply to
That
everybody.
applies to everyone.
apply to
This
everybody.
card in particular is just it's about the sign of Cancer. I'm always surprised there's no little crabs running around, because that's what we love. We like a crab bake.
Yeah, I think the Thothjack has the crabs on it.
Yeah. Yes, it does. That's why I was always upset with this. This doesn't have any crabs. I appreciate crabs. And crab salad, not in the other way.
Oh my God.
If you're single and you see the Chariot card in a combination with the King of Cups, this means love is right around the corner. So don't give up. This is going to be your focus for meditation to survive and move forward. Let's not give up. Let's push through and create balance in our lives, because that's what Cancerians need. We need lots and lots of balance, because we don't have any. We have a lot of love and emotion. Balance, not so much. That's why I have her. That's why I have my Libra.
So one of the things that I notice about the card is the man in the chariot is not actually steering the chariot. He's singing, he's playing his harp, but he's not actually steering the chariot. And one of the things that's always sort of spoken to me is that just make sure that you are doing for yourself, whatever it is that makes you happy, whatever it is in that moment that's going to bring you closer to goals or bring you to joy. And don't worry so much about trying to control everything, because you're not steering the chariot. The chariot is going, like the unicorns are bringing it, but you're not the one actually making everything happen. One of my big pet peeves is when people say, we create our own reality. We really don't. At best, we co-create it, because you are dealing with the wills of everyone else around you. You don't control everything. You don't control everyone. Don't bother to try. Keep control of yourself. Do for yourself what you need to do. And don't worry about what everyone else is, whatever the machinations are and the motivations of everyone else. The other thing is the guy in the chariot's looking straight ahead. And you've got one horse looking to the past and one horse looking to the future. If you spend too much time looking back at the past, you get depressed. Too much time looking at the future and worrying about the future, you get anxious. Stay in the now, like the guy in the chariot. Look straight at what's in front of you and move forward that way. It's like the old saying, you might not be able to see past your car's headlights in a storm, but you can make the whole trip that way. So just keep what's in front of you and be in the now and be very zen. And then that'll keep you from being too stressed.
When I work with this card in meditations, it always reminds me that I need to remain focused but not distracted with it. I actually have to take a minute to enjoy the ride of life. It's almost that saying, the minute you realize that there are problems in life and you accept that, life suddenly becomes easy. The minute you are able to focus on you for 1 minute, just breathe and stop taking your empathic waves and letting it creep into everyone's life. It is about pushing ahead, and to me, it applies to us and how we are working hard on our future.
And with more about that, we're going to bring in Tim Soaringwolf to do our astrological forecast. Tim, are you there?
I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Tim.
Well, great. Well, thank you for allowing me to be on the show, and I'm happy to be here.
No, we're psyched to have you. We've been reading your forecasts, so now we can actually have you live delivering it. So that's fantastic.
Yes, that's great, and this is actually a really great time to be able to talk about astrology, because today is a first day of eclipse season, which eclipse season is around about a month every year between whatever solar eclipse and lunar eclipses we have. Actually, it happens twice a year, so it's a little rare, but not extremely rare. It still happens, twice a year, but this is a very important day, being the new moon in Cancer. I know we were talking about Cancer here just a moment ago.
Thank you very much.
And, yeah. So, usually new moon is about new beginnings, what we're going to try to put forth for the next month or month. But this solar eclipse energies, because it only happens twice a year, can actually last with us for up to the next 6 months. So it's really important today that we just try to focus on positive things, what we want to see manifested in our life for the next 6 months. And then we've got the full moon lunar eclipse, which happens in the sign of Aquarius while the sun is in Leo, and that is on the 27th, the day after Mercury goes retrograde.
Oh.
And then we've got the new moon again in Leo, which will be another solar eclipse. So another thing that's interesting about this eclipse is that, the Cancer is a sign that is ruled by the moon. And so it is exalted in this sign, and the same thing with Leo. Leo is then the sign that's ruled by the sun. And we also are going to have a solar eclipse in Leo next month. So that kind of adds a little bit more power to these eclipses, especially being that it's exalted in those signs. And the other thing is that, with this particular eclipse we're looking at, it's also creating an opposition to Pluto and Capricorn today. So there's definitely going to be some little bit of insecurities we're going to have to deal with. Again, Cancer does create that hard shell to protect ourselves, but deep down there's a lot of things going on, and so there may be some shadows coming up we may have to deal with. Pluto energy can be a little chaotic and destructive, but where there's death, there's rebirth, so we're being encouraged to let go of some things so we can allow new things to come in. There might be some power struggles, a test of boundaries. But definitely, Cancer is getting us to return to the home front and our personal, domestic matters, having to look at that. There is two other things I would like to definitely mention that's really specifically for today. Again, today is a really big day. Now, the peak of the solar eclipse is not going to happen until after 10 p.m. on the East Coast time, so we're not going to see it in the United States, but the energies are still going to be felt. But two other things that are happening today is Jupiter just went direct 2 days ago. Some of us might have felt some of that positive energy kind of break through. Now there's opportunities starting to come up. Growth is now moving back to the speed that it was where things are growing and flourishing. But Jupiter is also making a trine to this solar eclipse in Cancer. Jupiter is in Scorpio. And then we've also got another trine happening with Neptune in Pisces. So it's called a Grand Water Trine.
Ooh,
and this has a powerful influence on us. I'm sorry?
That sounds scary. Sorry.
But it sounds awesome.
A trine is the most positive aspect in astrology.
Yes.
So when you have 3 planets, all in the same element, then, it's called a grand trine. And that grand trine is going to really just shower us with blessings, being that it's in water. Water is all about the flow of life and about, us being open to receiving those blessings. Reflection, Jupiter and Neptune are very spiritual planets, so we're encouraged to trust in the universe a little bit more today, take that leap of faith. And at the same time, we also have an Earth trine going on with Saturn in Capricorn, Venus in Virgo, and Uranus in Taurus. So we've got an Earth trine at the same time, which Earth is all about our foundation. So again, really what you put into effect today is going to last for a long time. So be focusing on those positive intentions. With the Earth trine with Saturn and Capricorn, Uranus and Taurus, this is going to help us implement changes. But we're also going to be looking at our relationships, and boundaries is going to possibly come up.
That's been huge for me this week. I don't know about anybody else, but boundaries has been definitely a theme.
Yes, so we're definitely evaluating what we will accept, what we will not accept from others, and our personal relationships, business relationships. But again, it's a positive influence as well. So, very, very powerful, intense energies going on today, but also some really, really positive ones. And definitely recommend to finish up any loose ends. Mercury retrograde will hit on the 26th, which could cause some confusion, cause us to kind of revisit some old things, old projects. That lunar eclipse on the 27th is going to also intensify some of that energy. And let's see, the retrograde for Mercury, just so you all know, is from the 26th until August 19th. So those are the dates you want to keep in mind to not try to start any new projects.
We're all traveling to Hexfest during that time, so we're like, get out the St. Christopher medals and the fourth pentacle of the moon.
But we're
and
going back. We're going back. So if you return to a place during retrograde, it's okay.
There you go.
Thank
There you
you.
go. We're all returning.
Yes,
That is
that's how I needed to know
That is
that.
awesome.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yes,
Planning will be essential, but as long as you don't get frustrated with the flight attendants, if your flight gets delayed, you'll be fine.
Perfect.
That's why they serve alcohol.
I've got to ask you, Tim. Do we
Yes.
still have about 5 planets in retrograde right now, even with Jupiter going direct? I mean, there's been some really crazy, just like things from the past and things coming full circle, and things that I guess have been on the back burner for many years are suddenly on the front burner, and it's just been quite a time. And I don't know if you have any, further insights on some of these, how people can try to use this retrograde energy time as a way to, like you said, sort of tie up some loose ends from the past, or maybe bury the hatchet with some people that they have lost touch with, or what kinds of things could people be using this energy for the positive?
Oh, it's a great focus and question. I do believe that for those people that have been kind of ignoring this retrograde energy, it's really going to come to a culmination when Mercury goes retrograde, because that's one of the personal physical planets that kind of can affect our physical world. We do have on August 7th Uranus going retrograde, so that's going to add to the retrograde mix. But really, the energy of retrograde, it is, an illusion in the sky. I always like to describe it as like when you're driving down the freeway, you're passing a car up. That car and both of you are both traveling forward, but for a minute, it looks like that car is moving backwards as you pass it up. Same thing with the planets. It is an illusion that looks like the planet's moving backwards, but those backward effects can still be felt on the Earth, and it is important we pay attention to them, especially with Mercury retrograde coming up. I always tell people if things come to you from the past, it's probably for a reason. It's not to cause you harm, especially if it's a hurt-related. Chiron is one of the, not a planet, but it's one of the celestial bodies that also recently went retrograde. And Chiron is a wounded healer that teaches us about addressing our wounds properly. So if a wound has resurfaced, it's not to hurt you again. You may not have healed properly the first time around. And so sometimes those wounds have to be reopened so that you can heal properly this time around. And again, just anything that
I was just having that conversation with her yesterday.
I am finding old situations coming back to me with new people, and I'm, being a new person with age and experience, I'm just handling things differently. And I really thought it was a lesson, so I like looking at it how you said it. It's an opportunity to heal where I didn't heal before. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what it really is. It's not to hurt you any more than you've already been hurt, but it's that opportunity to really heal and to really let it go and be recycled into new positive energy down the road. I've gotten to the point of trying to deal with things from my past so often every time Mercury comes up retrograde that now I don't have too many things that come up, knock on wood, right?
Because you've kind of cleared it. Yeah.
But yeah, you deal with it. You try to get through it. Don't ignore it or bury it because it's just going to come up later. But once you deal with it, then you're going to truly be able to move forward, and it probably won't come up anymore after this. So it's good. It's good to keep that in mind that things coming up from the past are for a reason. Just deal with it in the best way possible. Learn to heal from it and release it, let it go, and then move forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. I'm so glad you were here to give us the astrology forecast, and we look forward to seeing you again next month.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you for the guidance.
Now I'm just going to talk real briefly about the stones and crystals that are sort of, I guess you'd say they're associated with Leo. They might be birthstones for Leo. They might just be really good stones that are sort of in alignment with some of the major character traits of Leo people. And as we're coming into Leo's time from July 22nd to August 22nd this year, I'm thinking this is a time for people to tap into their personal power, to gain confidence and courage to tackle life's challenges, and basically, as Katy Perry would say, you know, they're going to hear me roar. So, Tiger's Eye, powerful stone for manifestation. When you're trying to bring about something, carrying a tiger's eye, wearing tiger's eye jewelry would be a great way to align with that manifestation energy. It's got a combination of solar energy and earth energy. So this is going to be a stone to carry when you feel like you need some extra confidence, some courage. Roman soldiers wore it for protection in battle. So, you know, it's been definitely a stone considered to be, you know, protective and powerful down through the ages. It's also a stone that can help with unblocking. So unblocking, including creative energy. And I noticed that a bunch of these stones have implications for writers. And I was like, so listen closely. And a tiger's eye reminds us that it's not about controlling others. So this is so funny that we were just discussing this about the chariot. Not about controlling others, but to master the self. And that's truly the way to power. Not to power over other people, but to actually gain the power over yourself, over your own reactions, over your actions, and the way that you basically handle the things that life throws at you. Life's going to continue to throw things at all of us. How we choose to handle them and how we carry them with grace is the, you know, that's the way to true power. Another stone, carnelian. So Leanne's got a carnelian that I just gave her for her birthday, as a matter of fact. It's definitely got a physical influence, so there's a lot of healing associated with carnelian, particularly with the bloodstream. This stone vibes to the lower three chakras, like sacral, navel, etc. Implications with sexuality, reproduction, and in relationships, rekindling passions and kind of resparking, why you connected so strongly in the beginning, getting that back. It's also been called the singer's stone. Fun fact, I actually gave Bret Michaels a carnelian pendant when I was probably, I want to say maybe 19 years old. So, because it was the singer's stone. I knew this stuff back then, you know what I'm saying? So, it gives you confidence for performance. So if you're going to do some public speaking and you get a little nervous about that, carry a carnelian in your pocket or wear some carnelian jewelry. Citrine, which is a stone I absolutely love, and we were talking about things that help with writers. This is known to motivate writers. Good stone to overcome challenges, happiness, joy, and inspiration, creativity, lightheartedness, and gives you the abundance mentality. So like tuck a citrine in your wallet. Sometimes stores will throw one in the cash register. It connects with sort of like prosperity flow. So if you're somebody that's, needing some extra income and you're doing your hustle, carry that citrine or wear that citrine jewelry. And lastly, I'll say peridot, which, I just recently heard some facts about peridot, that it's the only other stone besides diamond that's mined at the depths that it is. So I was like, that's very interesting. Vibes to the heart chakra, opens you up to new experiences, particularly with regards to relationships. Strength and vitality, of course, trust and courage. These are all, attributes that are associated with Leo the lion. Legend says that pirates wore it to ward off evil, which I thought that was interesting. I'm like, the pirates were warding off the evil. And it is said to grant restful sleep when worn to bed. I mean, has anybody seen any animal sleeping as deep as a lion, like in the sun and, out there on the Sahara or what have you? So that nap like a cat, right? Like take a cat nap, a nice restful sleep. So those are the stones that I felt, that I should bring to your attention for this.
I'm wearing two of those,
right?
Today.
So you're like, I'm already vibing with it.
Somebody came into the store this week and said to me that stones and crystals that we wear are the bones of our ancestors. Ooh, and that all that died before got placed into the ground and became these beautiful crystals with energies and messages.
Love it.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
Love it.
Stayed with me.
Yeah. So Yeah, I'm kind of checking in with people and checking on the comments. Now, we're going to turn our focus to our fantastic guest today.
Fantastic
Christopher
guest.
Penczak, founder of the Temple of Witchcraft. How many books under your belt at this point?
I think it's around 25.
25
books.
I've got 3 in production right now that aren't out yet.
Exciting, exciting.
I cannot wait to hear what you have on deck. I am like, what's coming? What's happening?
What's coming next?
Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah,
Do you want
sure.
to talk about where it's going?
Sure. So I have a book on candle magic. So I'm doing a series of short books on kind of practical, helpful magic, because I know I also write things that are very airy-fairy out here, and so sometimes people just want to take my candle magic class or how to make a potion. So the first one was casting of spells, which is out, and then the next one's on candles. And then
That's excellent.
if all goes well, there'll be potions and charms, and then I'm done for that.
Perfect. And I gotta say, candle magic. We recommend candle magic
Always.
to all clients constantly. That
It
is
is-
one of the
yeah.
number one things that when people come for a reading and they're dealing with, any number of different issues with career, with love relationships, with even with health, with, any of these things. And we can always recommend something they can do. Very simple, very effective candle magic. It's a beginner thing that even the most wizened old crone still whips out the candle magic. So it's like
Absolutely.
you never get past it or like graduate above it or what have you. Candles are on the altar every single ritual, pretty much, unless you're in a place where you can't light them.
No, it's great work. Just think about fire. It just illuminates whatever we want in our life. Just that element in itself. Christopher, I was dying to know, what's your favorite book that you wrote? I have a couple of personal favorites that you wrote.
My favorite's The Mighty Dead right now.
Yes,
It's
yes,
one of the
that
most
is
recent
my
ones,
favorite.
but that's my favorite right now.
Absolutely love that book.
Thank
It's
you.
fantastic. As a
Yeah.
medium and somebody who comes to, I have a lot of people come to me for mediumship and grief. The book can reach so many people.
Thank you.
It empowers people, and it doesn't empower grief. It empowers those who have crossed over, which are always with us. And yeah, get that book. It's my favorite.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, because I tried to write it for people who were maybe new to witchcraft all the way to people who are really experienced. So we talk from basic ancestors to the ascended masters,
Yes,
and
it
everything
was-
in between.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Fantastic. My mom actually is big into the ascended masters.
Oh, yeah?
Well, my mom is not a witch. My mom is not a witch. My mom is more of what I guess we might call a white lighter. But
charmed.
she, I don't know about charm, but she's old school 70s channeling type astrology / channeling / you know what I mean? That sort of thing. So, yeah, she has a particular Tibetan monk by the name of Joalcool
Okay.
that
Yep.
she connects with, and I've actually had a reading with someone that channeled Joalcool for me, and it fascinates me because I took there's a woman that I had known, my mother's best friend, that I had known since as far back as I can recall, as far as my earliest memories, my mom's best friend. And then when she channeled Joalcool, she became a completely different person right in front of me. Her mannerisms, the way she held her body, the way she spoke, the words she chose, or did she choose, the words that came out of her,
Right.
and the phrasing and everything was different.
Yeah.
And I just find that absolutely fascinating, the idea. And here's, an entity that has lived before, and so is among the mighty dead, I
Right.
suppose you'd say,
Yep,
and
that's how
is
I look at
not
it.
currently incarnated, and is coming through somebody else.
Yeah, I had a similar experience when I first got involved in the more New Age side of things, where someone who I knew in life who was a medium and had no scientific background or anything, and a lot of these names come from the Theosophical paradigm, and so she was channeling the master of the fifth ray, which is all about technology and science, and she didn't really know anything in day-to-day conversations about science, but when she was channeling, she could argue with physicists. Not argue, but answer their questions and speak with the jargon. And I was like, whoa, like I know her from day-to-day stuff. So I was like, okay, this is not a put on. Like it was real.
Yeah.
You know.
It's pretty amazing to witness that, and it does actually give you a hope. Lou, have you ever seen anybody channel?
I have not seen it yet.
Ah, okay.
I've hung around with your buddy Maureen Wood. That's what I'm waiting for, although she scares me.
I've done some channeling, and it's a
You and I
it's
both.
a dry it's
You
a
and I both.
draining it can drain you.
Yeah, it's tough on the body.
Yeah, it is. I always tell people who especially are doing channeling to make sure you eat healthy, live a healthy life, drink lots of water, and just try to keep your body.
Is there
in health.
low-level channeling? In other words, could you be channeling and not know it?
Yes.
Slip in and out of it?
Yes.
Because that I might have seen.
I have
I've seen
done
some weirdness from people.
mediumship work where I could taste tobacco, and I haven't smoked in years, of a smoker, or the client will tell me my mannerism shifted, or how I talked, and I would develop an accent, unlike the one I actually have from Revere right now. But
It's a whole different
yeah, it would be. That's a whole different type of channeling. But that's when they come into you. There are times where you just don't even realize it, and then they leave, and you're just so drained from that reading, and you have to go out and
Yeah. Have you channeled? You must.
I do, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and more of a ritualistic context. I
Yes.
find I don't do it during readings because I don't feel like there's a good container,
Gotcha.
for me. But
Yeah.
I admire the people who can do it, in that setting. But for me,
Yeah.
I tend to do it much more ritualistically, just so I
Yeah.
know that there's that energetic support.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, don't think I'm revealing too much here
Yeah,
to
no.
say that Leanne and I are both each high priestesses of separate groups, and so we are kind of tasked with channeling in that how do I want to say this? I guess it's part of the job. It's part of the job. And, there's something to be said for kind of properly preparing for
Yes.
that experience.
Do you
So-
serial channel? Are they the same people sometimes?
It varies. It varies. It's not really people. That level of channeling is not
different. It's
is
different.
not people that have lived. That's more deity related
Yes.
channeling. So it's not like actual people per se, or people or ascended masters that have perhaps incarnated a number of times and have decided to kind of be guides.
It's a different frequency.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a
So
different-
are you on
different
anybody's contact list? I mean,
right?
Several people got our numbers.
Yes, and there are times I think where if you do that often enough, it will bleed over. At
It does.
times.
It does.
At
It does.
times you can feel that happening and go, "Ooh!" It's
Once
like, oh my goodness.
once I was trained to do ritualistic channeling, it started to creep into my readings. That's when it started to kind of flow within my readings when I do it in the store. I
You just
am
open the
working.
psych- it's like you open that psychic
I
door.
am working really hard at staying grounding because those types of readings will kick me in the butt.
Absolutely.
And that's when in November, Leanne's always sick because it's all October. I'm just pumping it out.
Gotcha.
Do you find your work draining at times?
I do. Actually, I find that people who do this type of work, medicines don't respond to us in the same way. And having energetic healers, not saying don't go to doctors, but I'm saying, working with homeopathy, flower essences, herbs are what build up your vital life force in a way that just taking a Tylenol doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And Reiki.
Yeah, and Reiki,
Reiki.
absolutely. Reiki, body work, craniosacral has all been really
Polarity.
important for me. Yeah.
Polarity work.
Huge help.
Yeah.
I was a person who doubted Reiki until it was done on me, and I said, nope, got to have this done every so often just as a reboot and a recharge, just to get me right. And
Right.
polarity work is really has been a huge help to me continuing to do my job.
Deb got me a Reiki treatment for Yule, and I still haven't booked that appointment because I've been crazy busy, and my person that I would be getting it from has also been crazy busy. That would be Erica Ayubi, and we've just been it hasn't been able to happen. I cannot wait to have it's been a while, and I'm just like I need that. I definitely need that. She's gonna actually come to my house, and she's gonna set up in our temple.
Oh, wow.
and do it in the temple because she brings the table, and so we're going to put the table right in the middle of the temple.
That's
So
fabulous.
I'm like, this is
Yeah, that's
gonna
gonna be
amazing.
yeah,
I
that's
can't
gonna be
wait.
fantastic.
I need that before October, Erica. If you're tuning in, I need that before. I need to prepare for October. But
Yeah, preparation's key too, even just for the season of the witch for us.
absolutely,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. And you are joining us at Hexfest. Woohoo! This is so exciting.
We'll share a
Hottest time of the year.
I know. We must be crazy. We'll just put a bubble of cool
Exactly.
over ourselves
And seek
we'll
out
be
AC wherever we
fine.
are.
Yes, yes, we'll use the dowsing rods to seek AC. But yes, so and what are you teaching there? You're teaching about the mandrake.
I'm teaching about the mandrake, and I think I'm teaching about fairies too. I was telling Leanne it's hard for me to prep because I've got like 2 trips before then, so my mind is in New York at the moment.
I hear you. I hear you. Where's your next stop?
This weekend is Witchfest USA in New York City.
Yeah.
And then I'm teaching in Montreal for a book signing at Charmed and Sortilege.
And what are you teaching up at? Well, what are you teaching at each of those? Are you doing a class?
I'm doing at
in New
Witchfest.
York?
I'm doing a class on the gates of witchcraft, so it's the different methods of trance technique, and the witch's shield, so protection magic, which is always important in New York.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
That'll be a full
yeah.
class, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm teaching on the casting of spells, so just writing spells in Montreal.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they should be fun.
I love it. I love it.
Do you have to be certified to cast spells? Do you have to be a witch?
Some people should. No, actually, I believe magic's everyone's birthright. So I think everybody can do magic. I think that's different than priestessing or priesting. But I think to start out, anybody has access to magic, like talking about candle spells with our clients. You know, someone can come off the street and you can teach them some of the basics to kind of empower them. There's a lot of witches who'll do things that are more about doing magic for their clients, and I don't disregard that, but that's just not the way I practice. I like to teach people how to do it for themselves.
I am the same way. I do not do what some people call spells for pay.
Yep. Neither do I.
I don't. I've had people contact me and say, you know, I'm trying to get my husband back. Can you do a spell for me to bring him back to me? And I'm like, no, I cannot. And I'm not even sure that you should.
If you have to ask that question, you shouldn't.
You know, there are ways to do things that are not manipulative, and I would always first recommend that someone do something for themselves, you know, to make themselves feel better and heal from a breakup, or to invite, basically it's like, don't try to target a specific person. Try to target what it is, what kinds of things you see in that dream relationship in your mind, and try to attract the person that's going to have that relationship with you. Don't try to make it, I'm going to have that relationship with that person, because it's probably not going to happen. Right. So it's more like attract the things about the relationship that you want and say, bring me the person that's going to enjoy this relationship, and here's how I vision it. Here's the types of things we are doing in my mind when I see what's my perfect relationship, what's my ideal situation, and try to get some snapshots in your brain, but don't try to fill in that blank space. Just leave the space, and that person, will come into that space, but it might not be the person you think. In fact, it almost never is it? It almost never is. It tends to kind of hit you sideways and go, huh? Oh, okay. So
That's awesome.
yeah. And I think you have more.
Yes, I wanted to. Christopher, tell us about the Temple of Witchcraft.
Oh.
I am very, yes.
It's a big question.
It is a huge question, but I know you inspire a lot of people.
Thank you.
And your students, they come into the store, and I find them to be bright and very positive and really filled with that light that I'm not seeing a lot. And I don't often get to see that. So when your students come in, I'm always thrilled. They're lovely.
Thank you. I deeply appreciate that. Yeah, so the temple started just for me teaching classes, and I was teaching a series of classes, and at the time, the first couple levels were based on a lot of what I learned from Lori Cabot, and then the students that I had in that group were kind of like, well, what's next? And I was like, nothing, like, go out and do it. And they're like, well, what are you working on? And it kind of evolved into just these 5 levels of what interested me, and it kind of had a cohesion to it that I didn't realize till many years later. And then spending a number of years teaching the classes, it was just based on the titles, the Temple of Witchcraft, or the Inner Temple and the Outer Temple, that eventually became books. The class notes became books, and people started using them all across the country, and people would be like, does that mean I'm a temple witch now? And people, unfortunately, this is the dark side of it all, started going around calling themselves Pennsakians. And sometimes Christopherians. And I was highly uncomfortable with that. And and so yes. And so
terrific.
Not being a lineage-based system,
I love it.
I was all about empowering people just with the magic and the lessons for it, and and that type of paradigm for it. And so we started doing a lot more public Sabbats, and so people in the public Sabbats were really looking for an identity. So it went from classes to a system. The system became a tradition, and then the tradition became an organization to be able to manage people kind of coming in and out of it, and kind of shared goals. So one of our big shared goals has been about people in land-based traditions actually having land and anchoring the current of their tradition in land if they can. So a big shared goal of the community has been buying property, developing the property, building a community center on the property soon, which is all
It's grown.
big, difficult stuff.
Yeah, that's nice.
Also being very open to both in-person and having online options for people who are interested in that, and having the mentoring, and realizing those are two very different things, but they can be complementary, and people can find community amid among both of them.
And you have a physical space that is considered the temple.
Yep, we do. We own about 5.5 acres of property. There's a barn, a cottage, and a house. The actual temple room is in the house, and we've got permits from the lovely city of New Hampshire to city of Salem, New Hampshire, to be able to open it as a temple, as a religious organization. So we're recognized federally as a church. So we've got all the same benefits any church does. And we're at the process right now of refabbing, or getting the money and the engineering and all that to refab the barn to make a community center, and eventually the bigger temple will be there, and
Beautiful.
have a little store where people can go in for pastoral care and readings and healings and pick up supplies. And we're actually hoping to do even like a food pantry, soup kitchen type of thing for people who might not feel comfortable going to Christian services.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
That's definitely putting forth the good.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah.
That's quite a community that you're generating and upholding there. So
Thank you.
that's awesome. I think that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't physically been there yet.
We're going to make that happen.
Our schedules are insane. We always talk and we're like, I have nothing in the next, 2 months. And we're like, yeah, neither do I. But let's think about it for a moment. Wouldn't it be nice?
Yes.
But yeah, it's just like, oh, it never happens. But occasionally we do scoot out and have dinner, but not nearly as often as we would like.
Even when you and I are free, then the temple can be booked, because it's not always me doing stuff. So that's been the tough part for me too. I'll be like, I got this night off, but someone's in there.
Exactly. There you go. That's the other thing. Yes. Because you do have, how many people would you say that you have physically doing, like if you host a Sabbat, how many people physically would you say participate?
I'd say our smaller Sabbats are around 60 to 70, and our larger Sabbats about 130. So we actually have to rent a separate space, because the actual property now doesn't fit the Sabbats.
Gotcha.
Most of our moons are between 7 and 15 people come out for that, and those are public, and those are done at the temple space, because the temple space can fit about 20-22.
Nice.
That's really nice.
Now, you guys have been doing, with T-Cone, you guys have been doing the Sabbats and the moons at the big room at Omen.
Yes, there's been public rituals being held
Oh, awesome.
at Omen, and I believe, are you doing a full moon? The Alexandrian tradition is going to be
Yes.
represented.
In August.
In August?
In August, when we get back from Hexfest.
That's fantastic. And our next public ritual is going to be Lammas on August 4th at 3 o'clock.
So people can head to Omen, and that's open to the public. So you can head there and participate with that. And when is your next open?
Our next open big ritual, we actually skip Lammas because we do it at Temple Fest. So we've got our big festival coming up, and that's the third weekend, I think, of August. But right before that, we actually do a Sabbat that's not a Sabbat. We do something called the Feastificate.
There you go.
Every August 13th, no matter what day it falls, if it's a Monday, if it's a Friday, or whatever, we do Feastificate, and we have 3 priestesses. We actually do that channeling, the oracular work for the public, which doesn't happen too often.
Nope.
And so we do a big oracular ritual, the community gets to come speak to the goddess of witches.
That's fantastic.
That's
I
beautiful.
love that. That's awesome.
You must be excited for Temple Fest again.
I am. I'm a little exhausted, but I'm excited as well.
I was going to try to go up and vend again. I just don't know if I can pull it together. I'm just like, oh, Hex Fest, I'm teaching 3 classes. I'm just like, I don't know if I can make it happen. I would love to.
A lot
make it
happens in
happen.
August. And on top of that, my partner, Steve, who's the co-founder of the temple, one of the co-founders along with Adam as well, he's in the gaming industry, and all their conventions happen in August. So there's something in New York we're going to be at called FlameCon, but that
Oh,
didn't come
fun.
through. And then he has Gen Con, so it's like we've got that, Temple Fest, Hex Fest.
Yes.
It's a crazy month.
August is crazy busy, and it's all crazy in the heat.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, no matter
August
if
is
you're up
on
here or
fire.
down there, August is definitely on fire. But speaking of the fires of creativity, Leanne and I are writing a book.
Yes. Yes. We are writing a book.
Yes, we're writing a book. So we actually asked on the Psychic Tease page if people had attended our events and were willing to share a little bit of their experiences. If they could shoot us a message, because we are going to be talking a little bit, not naming people, not specifically, but speaking a little bit about some of the things that have occurred at the different tea events that we've done with the whether it's the Mystic Tea on Cape Cod or the Mother's Tea up here, or of course the Morning Tea, which that's our next public event in October. And
Photographs
the
would be
holiday
a-
tea
yeah.
that we did last year. And
If
so
you have photographs.
if you photograph the inside of your cup and you have an experience that you're willing to share and you'd like to shoot it to us, we would appreciate it very much, because we are going to be writing about our experiences and your experiences. So
Yes.
Christopher, what's your one bit of book advice? for
Book
them?
advice
For us.
advice for authors, right?
Yes.
It is the same advice that I got from my music composition teacher when I was a musician. And he would say, put notes on paper every day. And so I translate that as an author to write something, even if it's just a line every day. Just
Beautiful.
keep the flow going.
Fantastic.
I love it.
That is terrific advice.
That is.
That's
that
how
is
I
a
got
really good
my
advice.
books done. Every day I try to write just a little something, even if it's just a paragraph, and that's your one paragraph closer.
Now, I'm curious, do you still physically write on paper, or are you only writing digitally?
I'm pretty much only on the computer now. I
Okay.
mean, I'll write spells out and ritual stuff on paper, but
Yeah.
for books, I'm always on the computer at this point.
I'm still old school, man.
Yeah.
I still love writing on paper. I love carrying a paper calendar. I love writing if I'm trying to create, whether it's ritual or whether it's actually, even marketing copy or anything. I almost have to put it on paper first. And typically it'll come to me in an idea when I'm at, sitting at a desk anyway, so I can just grab a scrap page and just
Right.
be like, but I also love the physical editing on paper, like
Writing
move
notes.
this up here, put that arrow. I mean, it's great to just delete or cut and paste or whatever, but I don't know. There's something about writing on paper.
Tends to flow my ideas better.
I don't know.
That's what I need. I need a little notepad because I have all these great
Right.
ideas, and then squirrel, it's gone. I have to have something, or it'll leave. Because I probably could have written a great novel by now, but it left.
Yeah.
It left.
Yeah, and with a little ADD
Yeah.
going on.
Oh yeah. There's
you gotta
so
be
many
able to
ideas.
catch those little
Because they're brilliant.
bunnies.
I got brilliant ideas, but there's so many and so frequent. It's my life is like living and channeling. It's just here it is.
See, I think the phone has ruined me for the handwriting on paper. Like,
Yeah.
now I have an idea, I just whip out the phone. I've got
Oh, okay.
maybe
yeah.
150 notes of book ideas and outlines on my phone. So
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And you can speak notes.
yeah.
Look at me. Now I'm like, that's an idea.
Yeah, when I'm in the car, I'll
Yeah.
I'll
Oh, yeah,
actually
I'd be-
text myself in the car.
Yep, you can do that too.
Oh, that's amazing.
You can do that too. I sometimes will take a audio note
Yeah.
to myself. If I'm not near paper, I'm not opposed to technology in any way. It's just that I don't know. I don't get the same, I guess, vibe. It's something about writing it out. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I'm the same way with like reading books. Like I have a really hard time, although I have a Kindle and have, read a number of things on that. It's the physical turning of the pages. So I think it's just an extension of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's that
Yes, I agree.
tactileness.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I need a book.
don't really read
Yeah.
books on electronic.
Right.
I don't own, a Kindle or anything. I mean, I could do it on the phone. I suppose Apple has an app for everything, so there's an app for that. But But I would rather actually have the physical book.
Yep, me too. It makes it hard to travel, though. I travel a lot, and my carry-on is 50 books.
There you go.
Everyone's like, you should get a Kindle, and I tried it, but not so much.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, and a lot of the books we like are not actually on Kindle, so all those little
Right?
rare metaphysical,
Oh my
crazy
gosh,
magical
those
books
are
from the
my
70s, which I
favorite.
love.
Those are my favorite ones. People have been in recent years. There's been a movement towards the kind of low print run, high quality, like amazing covers, beautiful paper, like everything. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Of really specialized occult books, and I'm like,
Are you teaching
love
anything now at the temple? Do you have any classes available to anyone currently?
I'm trying to. Well, we're doing a series that we're calling the Deep Moon series,
Oh, excellent.
which used to be they're called the Dark Moons, but because of scheduling snafus, none of them are on the Dark Moons. So
Okay.
we're like, we have to change that name around. But they're all kind of advanced topics, so everyone has to be for our system level 2 or higher, or have a conversation with me, because I don't want people off the street coming in and being like, "What's witchcraft?" Because that's not the class I want to teach.
What would you give advice to anyone out there listening today who has some interest in the craft, who is just listening?
Daily practice. Hands down, daily practice of something, whether it be meditation, whether it be a little ritual, whether it be pulling a card every day. I think just integrating it daily into your life, because a lot of people who particularly come online with me, they want to be a witch once a week.
Yeah.
They want to be a witch at the
yes.
full moon, and they feeling witchy. And I'm just like, either you are or you aren't, and either you have to embrace it every day or you don't.
oh
Yeah.
my God, say it again for the people in the back.
They need to hear.
Wow.
This is not a coffee club.
It's not a costume that you put on. It's not, like something that you just do when it's convenient. It's not what you do every October.
It's who you are.
It's not
every
just like,
day.
oh, I got to throw my pentacle and my crushed velvet cape on with my mom jeans and head to Salem to parade around. No.
This is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It changes who you are from inside out.
I actually think of it as an orientation. And I sometimes piss people off with this, but I think being a witch is sort of like being queer.
Spirituality is a spectrum.
Well, in some ways, but I think being like a witch is like being queer. Either you are or you aren't. You may
Yep.
experiment with it in college and decide it's not for you.
Yep.
And that's totally cool. And you might never know that you are, and you might never meet someone else who is, but you still are if you are.
Yep.
And that upsets some people, but I think that's true.
I love it. Doesn't
I think
upset me at
that's-
all.
And I believe there's all sorts of different practitioners out there, so that might
Yeah.
not be, witch might not be the word for you.
Yep.
But I think there's a magical orientation that's intrinsic, and initiation can awaken it.
Yes,
But
yes.
no
I feel
number
that
of
for
rituals,
myself.
if you're
Yeah.
not it, or don't have a connection, haven't put the energy into it, is going to awaken it.
Now,
No.
what conflicts do you think are we facing today? Like, if you could put it into a word, what challenges do you think the modern witch is facing on a day-to-day basis? Not just politically, because God help us all.
So we could be here for another hour.
Let's not.
We have 5 minutes left. Let's
Yeah.
not open that can of worms.
That's terrifying. I'm talking about just being a part of life, having a family. I found when I came out of the broom closet, it was weird to a lot of my friends and family. They were like, weren't you? It was on some level. I wondered if I think the energy I got was, you have betrayed everything we thought you were.
And I think a lot of queer people get that too, so it really resonates with that.
Yeah.
For me, I think the greatest challenge is the generation of our teachers before us were secret, were fairly occult. Even the ones in Salem, they were on TV, but they weren't talking about what they're doing. There wasn't that many books, and the books that were out there didn't give you step-by-step instructions. You had to infer it. And I like that aspect of the occult. I consider myself an occultist. At the same time, there's so many people seeking, and not necessarily all the covens can take them, and not all those people belong in covens. And it doesn't, that's not the only way, but I think it's a great way. So we're at that crossroads of, like, I always think witchcraft has such an aspect of rebellion to it. And so what do you do when there's nothing left to rebel against? Like when you're saying you need to listen about, this earth-based, this goddess-based, whatever we're looking at needs to be heard. When people start listening and saying, yeah, you're right, then that identity of rebelling against the mainstream kind of goes away, and you have to start thinking about, I'm building something. And how do I build something that still is esoteric and still honors, and a lot of the secrecy is not secrecy for secrecy's sake, but it's about mystery.
Absolutely.
And then how do I be open and inclusive and welcoming to everybody in a way that still preserves the mystery?
Absolutely. And there's that old saying, protect the mysteries, reveal them constantly.
Yep. Leave them in plain sight.
Yes,
Those who have the
yeah.
eyes to see and the ears to hear will see it.
And I believe that. I think that even with this internet age where so much information is out there, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And some of this is not deliberate blinds. These people are, and by blinds I mean, things put in place to deter the wrong person from getting a hold of actual occult knowledge. But I'm saying that there's a lot out there where somebody learns something from one online, what I call the e-witches, or some people call them the Insta witches or something. One person learns it, then sticks another YouTube video up about it, then another person grabs onto it, then and this misinformation just gets, promulgated out there to everyone. That's the value of going to an actual teacher that you can do the research on, and that you can do, you can look into somebody's what is that person? What are that person's qualifications for teaching another person? It's not just, I read a book, now I'm going to teach you the book I just read.
Right.
That shouldn't be it. That shouldn't be, oh, now you're qualified to be a teacher. The idea that some people have that the initiatory paths are, elitist, it's like, well, no, just maybe discerning. It's just, let's not just, there's got to be some,
Work.
Not every college in the United States gets accredited, right? Some people want to open up a university, and some people say not really.
Right.
You've got to meet a certain criteria so that you set yourself up as a teacher. The person coming to you understands that they're getting something that's quality and genuine, and not something that's just, you learned 5 minutes ago. So I don't know. I just feel like
All these things take work.
It's the
and
balance
time.
between, having it be available and having it not available. Oh, my gosh, we're at the hour. Let me just say that next month we're going to be meeting Mary Grace Farron. She is the author of Italian Folk Magic.
Ooh.
And so we're going to be speaking with her about ruse, kitchen witchery, and about how basically you can turn a meal into some serious magic. So please join us for that. I know Leanne's totally interested.
I
'cause
am so excited.
This is right up her alley. Totally.
Strega.
Mullicky
She will
talk?
tell
Are we
us what to
having-
put in the gravy. Yes,
Are
I
we
said
having
gravy,
Mullicky
not
talk?
sauce.
Eagle Eye? We're gonna talk about
Yes, Maloika.
Yeah. And Christopher, you have been a perfect guest, and thank you again
Thank you,
so
Christopher.
much for joining us today. And
you so
we'll
much.
see you guys next month.
Next
the first
month.
Thursday, the first Thursday of August.
Have a good one.
Bye.